Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's GrowthSM talk. Today we have with us Ashley Evans, who is a BDR SDR. Welcome, Ashley.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Ashley, briefly describe to me the roles and responsibilities of a sales development representative or a business development representative.
Yeah, so I've had experience in a bit of both. I actually started out in an outbound role and have recently transitioned into an inbound role. But my current role is to work with people and organizations who have engaged with us in some form or another to really identify their needs and interest in our solution and pass quality opportunities to account executives.
So Ashley, how do you differentiate outbound from inbound?
Yeah, so simply put, outbound is more cold outreach, while inbound is considered warm or hot leads outreach. And cold outreach means whether you know about our company or not, I'm calling you or I'm emailing you and I'm trying to generate some interest, while warm and hot is you've engaged with our company in some way. So you may have some slight familiarity, you may have a ton of familiarity, but I'm trying to generate greater interest from there.
Brilliant. So what's a crucial element of being successful, either inbound or outbound?
I would say definitely having a good understanding of the solution that you're selling, but also really understanding the personas that you're talking to and what's important to them, what their needs are, and what their goals are, and how your solution can bridge that gap. I think that's really how you're going to get their attention. If you think about it, there's so much noise going on and so many other people also emailing them. So you really got to be able to understand the person that you're reaching out to on a deep level in order to really grab them and book some of their time, because time's valuable. So you want to understand what their needs are.
And you've mentioned there personas was a word that you mentioned there. So that means to you a specific individual who meets a certain criteria or an individual who does a specific job. So you can understand this individual cares about X and they also do Y. So I'm going to sell them a story or a narrative that helps their life, that improves their day-to-day lives.
Exactly. Yes.
So you've just transitioned from outbound to inbound. What was something that you enjoy from either role?
Both are different, but also similar. So I get to be super creative with messaging in either role, which is fun. I would say maybe a bit more on the outbound side than on the inbound side. I think things are a bit more, I don't want to say templated, but they're just very straightforward, short, you get to the point, while outbound, they don't know who you are. So you have this opportunity to try and be funny or try and be creative to really grab their attention. But also, I would say it feels better on outbound than on inbound when you set a meeting. It's just so much of a harder job in a different way that when you get that meeting set, you're just like, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot more rewarding.
Yeah, it's super rewarding.
So what is a common challenge with outbound specifically? Would you say that a challenge is really setting that meeting? We put a lot of emphasis on closing that first meeting.
Exactly. And I don't want to sound repetitive, but yes, it's hard. And you could get on the call and you think things are going well with someone that you're talking to and you're maybe finding a need, and then flip of the switch, they're not interested. So it's really hard to tread between not going too in depth, but not being too light to where they're confused. And so that's where knowing the product comes in. And I don't mean talk about the product, but I mean talk about the aspirations of the product. Like, you are here, but you could be this with our solution.
Well said. Do you believe it's crucial to have a good relationship between a marketing aspect and this early stage of sales, inbound and outbound?
Definitely. And I would say that should always be, if it's not good enough right now, it should be working towards, and I think it can always get better. Demand generation is such a big thing. Content is such a big thing. People are coming in, reading your content. You need to be able to work with marketing to know what they're pushing out, events that are going on, so that you understand the leads that are coming in for you to then quickly attack. But go for.
Yeah, definitely. What is your general opinion on how an outbound or an inbound individual should be measured?
That's a good question. We're going through some changes right now, like with in my own role.
Experimentation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and currently we're measured on a monthly number. So we generate opportunities for account executives, and that number is something that we're supposed to hit, and then we can also exceed it. But there is some changes going on, so there's discussion around it being a quota attainment as well. I have heard that we did that in the past at our company, and it didn't really work with our model. So there's changes to come, so I guess it's more of a to be continued. While on the inbound role, it's a team quota. So if I were to get 7 and the next person to me was to get 10, it all is going to end up in the same at the end of the month, which is really nice, so that we can all work a lot more collaboratively. And I think that's great. Well, that wouldn't really work on outbound because you have independent territories. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what changes do come. But I think right now for our current model, having us measured on opportunities is really the best way.
Yeah, I think the underlying answer to that, in my opinion, would be there isn't a best model. It sounds like in your situation, there's been many changing models to suit the needs of the team and to experiment. And because ultimately changing models doesn't mean that the team's doing badly. It means that the company could be doing very well, and they're trying to create new means and new channels. So thank you for that.
Exactly. I think some sales leaders like to think that every company is somewhat of the same, but they're not. It's different solutions, different industries, different way people should be measured, different ways the company does their own pricing. So I think that for this company, we have it right now, but it's always good to test that, and they have before, and we'll continue to do so until we can find the best way.
What is a tip you can give to an aspiring BDR?
A tip to give to aspiring BDR. Know the product, but more importantly, know the aspiration, which is kind of something I mentioned earlier. You really want to sell the aspiration and not so much the product and features. Leave that to the account executives. Leave the first interaction with like, hey, let's get you here. These are your goals. We can help you get there. And then the second thing is what I actually learned from one of my first account executives. I was getting beat down from no's, and he said, don't look at that like one person less you need to worry about. Spend your energy elsewhere. Like, don't let them get to you. You're done with them. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I can like mark them off. I'm not spending any more of my time or energy on them. It's done. So let's move over to people that will say yes. And I think that's a much more positive outlook than just being like, oh, I got another no.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's incredibly important what you've just mentioned there in focusing on the narrative, not the product.
Yeah.
Focus on the aspiring end goal for this client, rather than getting it in the weeds and talking about what your product physically offers.
It's almost like a story that you have to tell, and I would recommend getting really good at telling that story. However it may be hours of studying, like what I would do, hours of reading content from your marketing team, whatever it is, get really good at that.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for your time, and thank you everybody for listening and joining today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye-bye.
Bye.